SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Spartan Nation Radio. As you know, on this show, we've literally had a who's who of coaches, everyone from the Big Ten, so many great coaches from the SEC, the Big 12, the Pac-12, all of them, great pro athletes in many covering sports. It's what we do. But many of you also know I am not ashamed to admit that I'm a man of faith. My faith is the central, most important thing in my life, because without grace, it doesn't matter if I'm a media member. It doesn't matter how many of you know who I am or follow me on Twitter. It is the saving grace and the forgiveness of God that allows me to have the success that I've had. I'm very excited about our next guest. We've talked about him on this show a lot because he was a coach that was very open about his faith. And I want everyone to know, when I asked to interview him, no one said to me, great, here's what you can't ask him. But I'm not going to go talk about the past because, quite frankly, it wouldn't be fair to him. And it wouldn't be really fair because I have a past I don't talk about, and so do every one of you listening. I'm here to talk about the future. I'm so excited about Liberty football. I'm excited about where it's going. He's one of the best coaches in America, and my brother in faith. Let's bring in the great Hugh Freeze, coach of Liberty football. Coach, how are you?
Oh, Hondo, I'm doing great, man. You said so much in that opening there that it just blessed me. So thank you for having me, and look forward to visiting with you.
Coach, I've been a fan of Liberty. First of all, I love the Falwells. I love the school. I love everything about it. Almost went there. And one of the things that I don't think people understand is Jerry Falwell early on, and I don't know if you've read his autobiography or not, but early on when he started Liberty, I remember listening to him in my living room with my parents. He talked about Notre Dame, and he talked about what they meant football-wise to their school and to the Catholic group of people. And he talked about wanting Liberty to be in that vein. And I've said it's a sleeping giant for a long time. I know donors have stepped up. I know people are excited about you. So being able to be there and really take the program to the next level, how big of an honor is it for you, Coach?
I'll tell you, Hondo, when I first accepted the job, I watched Dr. Falwell's video from 1971, in which he mentioned football being a front door to where you could view this university and how it could build young men through competition as champions for Christ. And they actually put me up the first month that I was here in the one building that was on this site when Dr. Falwell made that announcement about the university. And in that building was Dr. Falwell's office. That is where he passed away, sitting at his desk. And to this day, they have it glassed in, and they have not touched a single thing from that day. There's a football helmet sitting right beside his desk. And every time I would walk by there, as I stayed upstairs in that building, I was so humbled and would have almost chills. I do have chills even as I'm talking about it now, and the fact that in God's providence that I would be blessed along with these other coaches to walk in that vision that was prophesied and spoken in 1971 by a man of faith like Dr. Falwell is really, really humbling.
We're talking to Liberty University head football coach, the great Hugh Freeze, doing a terrific job. Hit the ground running, absolutely took recruiting by storm. In fact, went head-to-head with Michigan State on a defensive end, and they got him. Absolutely a great addition for Liberty. Liberty University, Dr. Jerry Falwell, who founded the school, put football as a foundation, as a porch, to be able to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ with great success in football. Coach, I want to ask you about recruiting, because one thing you've been able to do your entire career is recruit. And when you're able to go sell to people the future of Liberty, I'm going to ask you about this in a minute, but potentially getting into a big conference, the facilities, the fact that people not only just in Virginia but around the world of faith like myself who are willing to step up and help the program, I think it's a bright future. How much does that play in recruiting?
Well, it's huge. I don't know that I would have taken this job had it not been for the vision that we're getting ready to walk in into moving fully into the FBS realm. And I truly, the resources that they have put into building the facilities, I think we're going to have the best facilities of any Group of 5 school. And I see no reason in a short amount of time that this place cannot be a top 5 Group of 5 program in the nation. And I've chosen, obviously, I believe in our staff. I believe we recruit relationally. And I'm not changing anything about my approach to recruiting from my days at Arkansas State or Ole Miss or Lambeth or as I am here. And a lot of people have asked me and been inquisitive about that. But see, I truly believe that once we identify that a kid is the right fit for our football program, and and his character is solid, not that he's perfect, but that it's solid, and he loves to play the game and he loves to compete. We are very open about what Liberty is and what they're going to hear, but it doesn't bother me one bit if the kid and his family are not people of faith. I got into coaching to impact the lives of kids. There's been times in my career where you lose sight of that a bit. But man, I've been refreshed in that over the last couple of years. And, the hope would be that as kids come here, irregardless of what they choose to believe, that something said, done, or lived out in the time that they spend with us would impact them long after the days that they play here. So we're recruiting the same type of kid I recruited at Ole Miss. Obviously, your target's a little different, but we don't put them in some type of box and say have to be this way to come here. And I know that Dr. Falwell was just like that, and I said that to someone, to his brother, when we were talking about coming here, and he just stopped me, stone cold, and said, "My brother would love you." And, so I know that was Dr. Falwell's vision also. So we're recruiting the same way that I always have, and hopefully once we get kids and their families here, this place would impact them long after their days here.
Coach, Mark D'Antonio, the coach at Michigan State, is a deep man of faith. So is Butch Jones at Tennessee. And they both have said something to me I want to ask you about, that neither of them expects a kid who comes and plays for them to be a believer. That's not an expectation. But they also want them to know they're not ashamed of their faith, and they're not going to hide it under a bushel either. Is that the approach Hugh Freeze takes?
That's totally the approach I've always taken. And, I'm probably more outspoken than some would like for me to be. And I assure you, though, that the players that have played for me, I don't think feel that way. I want to make it clear that I am a person of faith, and it's because without that, I don't have an answer for my inadequacies and my sin and my failures. I don't have an answer other than the forgiveness and grace that I received from God through His Son Jesus. And so I want our kids to know that about me. And one of the scariest things to me would be that I would have someone that is around me a lot as a player or a coach or something, and then one day look at me and say, "Man, you knew about this great gift and didn't tell me." And so there's times through our FCA program or our huddles here that we have that I will make it clear to them where I stand on it, and hopefully it is consistent in my walk and talk. and that they see that and it becomes attractive to them. But in no way, shape, or form do we ever feel like they have to be a believer to come play here, or have to believe as we believe. We don't. Again, I hope it does. So I echo what Mark and Butch said.
Coach, I want to ask you about getting into a Power 5 conference. I know that's the ultimate goal for Liberty. I'm not going to ask you for any secrets or anything like that, but I'm just curious, in your mind, what is your time frame that you would like to see it happen by? Do you have a goal?
Hondo, that's I certainly am not trying to avoid your question at all, but I have always been fairly good at certain things. I'm pretty, and I know where I'm weak also, but one of the things I'm really good at is, man, I just keep focused on what I can control. And I know that I have great administrators here, and Dr. Falwell and Ian and that are working extremely hard to do whatever's best for this program. They share with me when they have updates and things of that nature, and I do think this place deserves to be in a conference in time. Right now, we're kind of embracing the independent role where we get to play a lot of different opponents and get to step up and play more Power Fives than most Group of Five schools do. That will present greater challenge earlier in this tenure here until we get to recruit kids that are, more suitable for that. But I just kind of stay in my lane and control what I can control, and that is getting this program headed in the right direction to compete when that day comes.
That's a great answer. We're talking to Hugh Freeze, the head coach at Liberty University. Coach, you know this. A lot of times when you follow a coach, it's usually because he failed. But Turner Gill is absolutely no failure, a great man, a good coach.
No.
How special was it to come into a program that wasn't, where not only were the walls bare, but the cupboards have been burned for kindling? You followed the program with a foundation.
Yeah, Turner Gill's one of the finest men I've ever been around. And I don't know him long term, but we got to spend a little time together when I first got here, and he's been out to practice. He has an open invitation to come. Obviously, he's moved on now to another opportunity, but got to spend time talking with him. So I really do have great admiration for him and what he's done here. Obviously, he hasn't. They weren't in the full-fledged FBS until this coming year, and so the schedule looks quite different. And, the challenge is simply this, and this is not a knock on our players or anything, because they're preparing hard and we're going to get them ready to play. But the facts are that most of the players on the roster were recruited to play FCS football. And now all of a sudden, we're getting ready to play, 10 FBS football teams on a schedule. And so, you wonder in my mind, where are we going to stack up? I have no doubt in a short amount of time we're going to recruit well, and because this place can recruit itself once you get them on campus, and our staff does a great job of building relationships. But Turner no doubt did a great job, and certainly we're excited about the opportunity to move full-fledged into it. But it comes with in my mind, all right, where do we really stack up, depth-wise especially.
Coach, is that the hardest part of rebuilding? And really, when you jump levels, it is rebuilding, is that you've got tremendous young men that want to be there and love it, but you can't teach God-given things like height, speed, size, can you?
That's exactly right. That's I love our kids. I love the way they're working, but truthfully, when you look at the roster, it's not full of FBS players right now. That doesn't mean we can't win some games. It doesn't mean we can't overachieve, but that's the reality, and it's nobody's fault, because that's what they were competing in. Well, now the stakes have changed, and we've got to go play Syracuse and Virginia and Rutgers and BYU and some really good other Group of Five schools that are picked to win their conferences, and we don't have 85 FBS recruited players on our roster right now. So that's where the challenge lies in year 1 and 2 for sure.
He is the great Hugh Freeze. Remember, you can support Liberty football. It's easy to do when you get on the internet. I suggest you get out there, support the program. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not ashamed of my faith. I am so glad that Coach came on the program. Coach, if you'll stay on the line 1 second, I want to tell you something real quick. He's the great Coach Hugh Freeze, and I'm going to tell you this right now. As a man whose life personally, talking about mine, has been impacted by grace, grace is available to every one of you. This show is not about preaching,
Yes.
but if you're a person right now listening, and in your life, maybe you have a situation in your life, you're looking for grace, reach out to me. I'll be glad to tell you about the same grace that has impacted Coach's life and impacted mine. We're not ashamed of it. We'd love to share it with you. Get a hold of me if that's what you'd be interested in. You're listening to the Spartan Nation Radio Network. Nation Radio Network. Nation